Welcome to the Cosmic Busker. My name is Bobby Cody. Is that an Anunnaki Giant Meeting with President Trump? That's the name of today's video. Sounds absolutely outrageous. And when I initially found this, this actually I was alerted to this by the YouTube channel Leak Project. I'm going to link down below the link to the video that he did on this. I found this on his video on his YouTube channel, and I didn't watch his whole video. I watched a little bit of it, got the sense of it and what this was, and I decided, all right, I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna see what I can find, and I'll look at his video later. So I don't know what conclusions he came to. I wanted to come to my own original conclusions, but he pointed out this photo. It's a photo of Air Force One, and it's a big, long photo. Has a whole bunch of things on it, you know, people, crowds, and you see President Trump coming down the steps. And right in the center of the photo is this huge giant. Looks like he's about twice as tall as everyone else, and it appears that everybody's looking at him and taking photos of him. So I saw this and I said, all right, I'm going to follow this. I'm going to follow the evidence. And I'm going to go through the steps to either disprove or prove this. And that's what I'm going to do for you right now. I'm going to trace out the steps of what I did to try to verify whether this was authentic or not, and whether that's really a huge giant, 12-foot giant that President Trump is walking out of Air Force One to meet. So the first thing I did, and we'll have several of those photos, so stay tuned, you're going to see those photos right now. The first thing I did was did a search online. And I found a woman's Twitter account where she talked about the photo. I say, hey, is this a giant waiting to meet with President Trump? She showed the photo. So I said, okay, great. Somebody took a photo, could have just photoshopped it and put this in there. We had, you know, we need to verify the authenticity of this. So as I looked at it, I got the sense that that it was actually from a authentic source. So I said, and I don't remember exactly how I came to this conclusion, but I said, wait a minute, I think this is in the White House Twitter based on everything I'm reading right now. Could that possibly be? So I went to the White House Twitter account. There's a Twitter account, and if you look at the top, that's the photo. So we're gonna go in closer and take a look at this giant in a moment, but there is that photo. That's Air Force One on the top there, on the banner, and that is no doubt the photo. So I verified the authenticity. You know, this wasn't some dude, some dude playing with Photoshop on his computer and then throwing this out to everybody. Hey, look, it's a giant. This is on the White House Twitter account. So if it is photoshopped, they knowingly put it up on the White House Twitter account, and I find that hard to believe, especially as the banner. So that was strange, and I said, okay, this is a real photo. So we can take out any fraud aspect out of it, unless it's the White House perpetrating a fraud, which I don't think so, highly doubt. And I think we can generally assume that's not happening. So then it goes into looking at the photo and analyzing the photo, and that's what I want to do right now, and I want to get you in close so you can take a look at it. So the first thing I want to do is I wanted to go into this photo, blow it up, take a look, and see what I can determine about this giant, etc., etc. So I'm going to put it up there now, and you can see the giant looks to be about twice as large as the crowd there to the right. They appear to be either photographing him, which would make sense if he's a 12-foot giant. Maybe they're photographing the president coming off the plane as well. That's also very logical. We'll come back to that photo in a moment. I want to take a look now. We talked about the Anunnaki, whether that is an Anunnaki being. Well, what the heck is an Anunnaki? You might say, all right, I just want to give this quick background on it. Anunnaki, Zecharia Sitchin, was popularized by Zecharia Sitchin, a scholar from Sumerian. Sumeria was the first known civilization, occurred about 6,000 years ago. This modern-day scholar, Zecharia Sitchin, popularized the term Anunnaki. The Anunnaki were the gods, essentially, of the Sumerians, except Sitchin said they weren't gods. They were just beings from another planet who gave the Sumerian civilization, and the Sumerians worshipped them. So essentially, the alleged gods of the Sumerians were extraterrestrials, according to Zecharia Sitchin. I stay away from the extraterrestrial aspect of this. I don't think they have to be extraterrestrial. If they do exist, they could be from here. You know, I take the simplest approach. So when I'm looking at this, so I don't call them extraterrestrials. I don't refer to them as aliens. You know, why can't they be from here, theoretically? But I want to take a look at this real quick and what they are, because a lot of people speculate these Anunnaki have been found in our historical researches. They've been found both in the old world and the new world. And these Anunnaki weren't just the figments of Sumerian imagination, that they were real and that they owned humanity and they created humanity as well. And here I want to point to what a lot of people think the Anunnaki are and the evidence for them. Here's one right here. That's a skull from Peru. It's an elongated skull from Peru. Despite what experts say, if you take a look at that, the cranial volume is just too massive. You can't get that from just deforming the skull. It's just too big. There's too much brain matter in there. You can't increase the size of the inside of the skull. You can change the shape, but you can't increase how much brain matter there is in there. That has way too much brain matter in it. It's too big of a skull. There's no way it's human. Absolutely. That one's found in Peru. Okay. Now, and these were the ruling class. These people, of course, if they got a brain that big, they're very smart too. So here's Egypt. What do we have? What do we have? What do the rulers of Egypt look like? Here's another one. Boom. Essentially the same thing. These huge elongated skulls. So a lot of people say these are the Anunnaki. So let's go on that assumption. And I want to point, there's one pharaoh. His name is Pharaoh Akhenaten. He was the first pharaoh to introduce monotheism, the first known ruler to introduce monotheism, other than maybe in Persia was Zoroastrianism, but I'm not going to get into that. Pharaoh Akhenaten, he was ultimately killed by the priest class because they didn't like the changes he was doing to the religion. But we have depictions. He was the first pharaoh allowed himself to be depicted as he really looked like. Let's take a look. We've got full body statues to this guy and exactly what he looked like. Not only did he have the huge elongated skull like one of his relatives I just showed you before, but let's look at his full body there. Look at that. Doesn't look human. It's physiologically different. Look at, he has almost a curvature like a female. Goes into the waist and then comes back out at the hips. Also, you can see the pot belly that he has as well, and the round shape of his hips, which looks female, but there's no question Akhenaten is a male. Now, knowing that shape, let's take a look at this alleged giant on the tarmac at Air Force One. Let's look a little closer. Here's the photo now. If you take a close look, and I'm going to cut off so you guys get a bigger full view in a moment. But if you look closely, it seems like at the bottom, his body, you have a profile of him there. His body comes out little, the pot belly, just like Akhenaten's did, and almost like comes out at the butt too, just like Akhenaten's did as well. He seems to have this kind of sinuous form, just like Anunnaki. So that's when I started to really start to say, this is strange. So I'm going to cut away real quick so you guys can get a full screen view of that. And it'll be up for 10 seconds. You can stop the screen if you want. Take a look at it. You analyze it. I mean, it could be his jacket blowing, the wind's blowing it, and it's coming out and now, and underneath, so it makes it billows out. Certainly, but something doesn't look right about the way he's shaped to me. I don't know what it is. So let's go to that real quick, and I'll come right back. So there we had that strange physiology. It just looks strange to me. Um, I'll put that photo up here again so you can take a look at it. The physiology of just strange. So it's physiologically looks strange, and this huge size now we have. So at this point, I said, all right, how can I determine if he's just that much closer to the camera? And that's why he seems big. I need some other way other than the crowd next to him to judge his size. So then I took a look at the photo to find something. Now I want to point something out. Notice that the giant and the crowd right behind them is the engine. That's a jet engine. There's two jet engines that you can see in this photo. I'm gonna throw another picture up there right now and show the two jet engines. Okay, you can see the one where the giant and the people are in front of, and on the other, you see, then at the other end you see another jet engine. Okay, right near that other jet engine are two people. So what I did was I said, okay, let's compare these other two people, because this other jet engine seems to be a lot closer to the camera than this jet engine is, obviously, because everything's on an angle. So they should be closer to the camera. Let's compare their size to the giant size. Those two people standing alone in front of that second engine appear the same size as the people in front of the first engine. Only that giant is big. So then I began to say, I think this is real. Wow, but the one final thing that I had to verify was that it wasn't somehow an artifact of the way the camera took the photo and the photographer took the photo. So at that point, I know what telephoto lenses do. Telephoto lenses, I made sure and I did some research on this as well. A telephoto lens essentially makes things look the same size even if they're far away. Okay? One example is baseball. When you're watching a game, that's a telephoto lens. We can tell it's a telephoto lens because the pitcher and the batter in that picture look the same size, but they're 90 feet away. If you didn't use a telephoto lens, they would look, the batter would be much smaller than the pitcher. When you use a telephoto lens, it makes them look the same size, essentially. So that was my understanding. They said, well, I wonder if this is a telephoto lens, in which case that would mean that this should be the same size, and this really is a giant. So I did a little research. I found out the other thing would be a wide-angle lens. I don't know the difference. I can't tell by looking at a photo, but I think this one is a wide-angle lens. Based on my research, a wide-angle lens, use a wide-angle lens for 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 like buildings or landscapes and a huge plane with a lot of people in front of it, you probably want to use a wide angle lens too. So almost certainly this is a wide angle lens photo. And based on my research, anything really close to the camera in a wide angle lens photo is going to be look much larger than everything else. So that's when I said, that's it. It's a wide angle lens, and that's why it looks so big. But, if that's the case, remember I showed you why those other people who are in front of the second engine, which should be much closer to the camera, why aren't they much bigger? They don't appear much bigger than the crowd. They appear this and not. They don't appear the same size as the giant. They appear the same size as the crowd. So here's where I'm at with this. I think it's probably the wide angle lens, and that's probably a secret service agent who's just standing close to the photo. That's why it's not a giant literally, just looks giant. However, the physiology, the size, in comparison, there's what else? The comparison to the people near the second engine, the two people standing in front of the second engine, it makes me question whether this really is an Anunnaki or not. There's another thing too I just want to point out, which I found very strange. I'm going to show a screenshot of the photo from far away. If you take a look above the tip of the plane, okay, you'll see that little artifact. It looks kind of like a speaker, a megaphone or something. There's a little symbol up there. That's a macro. When you hit it, when you're looking at the photo and you hit that little button, the macro, it blows the photo up really big so you can see it, and then it pans across the photo. So first you see the tip of the nose, then the stairs going up to the Air Force One, and then the giant. It's almost like they put that macro there wanting you to see it. So that makes me think maybe it's an Anunnaki, just the way that they put that there. The only thing that would hold me back is that it could be a wide angle lens. So I'm looking for a photographer, somebody who specializes in photography, to take a look at this photo. Let me know what you think. Someone find me a photographer to analyze this. Is this a wide angle lens photo and it just looks bigger because it's a wide angle lens? Or is this a real giant? Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and find a photographer for me. I want to know. I think it's a wide angle lens. I think it's just an artifact of that, but my mind can be changed. Thanks for watching.